Hello everybody, welcome back to the stream. How are you all doing? I hope everything's alright with my settings and whatnot. Seems okay. So today we're going to be reworking Obelisks to some extent. I don't know, we'll have to see how it goes, but I'm just not... I don't think Obelisks are... I don't know. Obelisks are just a little bit weird to me, so the plan is to make it so that Obelisks only ever change one node. But then to buff that node, that it changes significantly to bring it in line with the other options you might choose. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I'm a little bit worried about the combat one specifically because I don't really know how to incentivize the combat one as a choice, but we could think about that later. So anyway, yeah, I'm going to be reworking that stuff and just seeing how it feels, and we'll see. Maybe it'll end up in the playtest, maybe it'll end up just on the master branch. But anyway, before I get into it, I want to remind everyone that Alchemortis is available for wishlisting, but also the playtest is available. So head on over to the Steam page, click Request Access. You will get instant access to the playtest. And yeah, let me know what you think. You could join the Discord. You can also support the game on Patreon. If you subscribe at the sponsored tier here for at least 1 month, I will send you an Alchemortis Steam key when the game launches, and your name will be listed in the in-game Alchemortis credits. So if that sounds good, check that out. I've also got my Udemy courses. These will teach you how to build complete games in the Godot engine. So yeah, if you're interested in that, check that out. It's a great way to support me as well. But otherwise, let's get right into it. Hello, Johan. Welcome back. Good M. Oops, good M. Hello, V. Welcome. Good to see you. Good morning. Hello, Clickertail. Emerson, welcome. Hello, Light Tiramisu. Hello, Barge. Welcome. Good to see you. Thank you. Thank you for joining. Obelisks are not an obviously positive route. I think it's kind of random and hard to plan around if you've got existing plans in mind. But I need to play it more to say for sure. Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the problems with them is that, so obelisks they're ideally for serving a couple of functions. So one function is like, there's a path that you want to take that is almost ideal, but maybe there's like one or two nodes that you don't really want to do, that you want to change, right? So the obelisk gives you an opportunity to like have an RNG change to that, right? So that's the one function. The other function is to create a new positive beneficial path when your path is not that good. So it's like, it's both, right? It's like you want to make the path that you're on even better, or like the path you're on is pretty bad, so you want to kind of like salvage it a little bit. So that's the intent behind them. Add a little bit of shake up into like the player's pathing for good or for worse. But yeah, I think one of the problems is that they change too many nodes, so the risk is relatively high that it's going to like erase a node or that you wanted to keep, right? And then the other problem I think is that the node bonuses are not powerful enough. So what I'm thinking is make the node bonuses more powerful, and then only change one node. So it's less risky of a choice. It has less opportunity to like erase a bunch of nodes in the path that you wanted to visit. But also there's going to be a massive benefit to visiting that node if you choose to do so, right? Hello, Trista Do, welcome. Good to see you. So there's a bunch of problems in here, but let's take a look at this. So I've already rewritten all the descriptions here. So yeah. Combat currency, well, let's see. Now I have to figure this out. Options to pick. Obelisk. Event state machine. Nodes within depth, nodes to change. Is valid event type. Okay, so this filters out everything. Event type is not equal to grow board. Event type is not equal to obelisk. Okay. Now, wait a minute. Apply change. Animated map node changes. So what I'm trying to look for is where is it actually applying the map node effect? Where is it actually applying the map node effect to other nodes? Well, I guess I can go to my map node effect manager. This is actually going to be quite a lot of work to rework this, I think. Apply map node effect. What the heck? Apply map node effect. Okay, so we'll look for this then. Get map effect. Affected nodes. Nodes and radius. Okay, where is this being placed? So yeah, I don't want this anymore. Nodes within depth. Effect to apply. Nodes and radius. Nodes to change. Map node changes, add node. Nodes and radius. Oh, I think this one just needs to change. So we're not gonna make this a list. This is just gonna be affected node. We'll get rid of that. So let's see, for each var node, yeah, so in here, this just becomes node equals animated map node changes dot affected node. I think it's as simple as that, folks. I think it's as simple as that. Modify enemy cards picked. Oh wait, no, that's fine. Yeah, I'm gonna work on that next. This just needs to be affected node. Actually, never mind. I guess I don't want to do that. Gosh. I do want to keep... the list, because what I was thinking is I might have an artifact that changes how many nodes are changed by the obelisk. So I still want to support like a variable number of affected nodes, but I think for this specifically, I just want to rename this to affected nodes and not nodes within radius. Yeah. And then inside of here, I guess we undo that. Right. We don't want this to be nodes within depth, though. This needs to be nodes to change. Okay. Alrighty. I think that's correct. So the thing that I'm working on right now is this boosters. So the booster... So this booster effect says, a nearby encounter will be transformed into a booster encounter, which grants only Inquisition items. So it's basically going to transform a booster to only drop enemy items. So that's going to like solve two problems at once, because right now it's kind of hard to get enemy items. So I want to make it, I want to put more opportunities in the game for the player to get enemy items. And that this is also just making this a lot more appealing of an option, right? Like, oh, now I have to visit that booster because I have a good chance of getting an enemy item that I want, right? Of course, it's possible that you could go through a run and never get that as well, right? So there's a certain rarity to that as well. So the problem with the boosters, though, is that I don't know. I like didn't implement the booster configuration very well. But what's happening on the booster is, as soon as I instantiate the booster, it's calling generate reveal info. This is then going and, well, first of all, it's generating each entry. So it's just generating, picking the number of cards from the card loot table manager, and it's storing that in this entries array here. This entry, I guess it's a record, but entry record array. And then it's calling get revealed info because it needs to iterate over all those entries, and it finds like relevant keywords to apply so that you can see those keywords in the booster description. So in order to generate that map node text that tells you what items are in the booster, I need to know ahead of time which items are going to be picked, right? And then I need to obviously deduce that, right? The problem is, because this is generating entries ahead of time based on the player loot table, it's going to be wrong, right? I need it to dynamically choose whether it's going to go from pick from the enemy table or pick from the player table. So I think I needed to rework this whole thing, basically. So we'll do that. Hello, G. Whittington. How long have you been learning programming? Since I was 14 years old. So I'm almost 32. So however long that is. Math is really difficult, but I think it's 18 years. I think it's 18 years. Hello, December A. Welcome. I somehow ended up on an old stream and thought it was live where you were playtesting the open world map and was so confused. Oh, no, the open world map. No, that's in the dustbin. I think Obelisk would be fine if it would change some close by fights to whatever you pick. I don't know why you would want more fights. Hello, Quality TTV. Welcome. I don't know why you would want more fights. Yeah, I think that's generally true. It may be the case that the blood economy is not correct still, right? It may be the case that blood is not scarce enough. And that could be due to a number of reasons, right? Because like I did change the availability of items. So like reagents are a lot more common now. The reagent node drops a bunch of reagents, which you could just sell if you don't want. There's booster options now where if you don't want any of the booster options, you could just pick the one that gives you the most choices and then sell them all. So I think maybe the blood economy is a little bit out of whack now. So this is one of those situations where maybe there's not an obvious fix to it. Or, yeah, what I mean to say is the fix for that is not obvious. I think maybe just tightening down the blood economy a little bit, right? Making blood a little bit more scarce. That may be a way to incentivize the player to go into combat more, right? So I may need to take a look at that because I do think that it's become a little bit easier from that perspective. We're going to do some, we're going to inject some inflation into the world of Alchemortis. Tighten blood economy. To incentivize fights as a primary source of blood. Do you work 100% solo? How do you determine appropriate scope keeping financial goals in mind? Yes, I work solo. This is a totally solo project. And how do I determine the appropriate scope keeping financial goals in mind? Yeah, that's a hard thing to do. trying to think if there's anything specifically that I was doing to keep scope in check. Not really. I mean, having a deadline helps. So I do have a deadline for the game. The demo, we have an internal deadline for the demo. And so, you know, I have to basically, all my work has to be focused on getting that demo or getting a demo build in good shape for that deadline. And just having a deadline like that actually does a lot to rein in your scope, right? Because then you can't, if you have a feature that you're going to implement that's going to take a week of work, and let's say you've only got 2 months until your deadline, well, using, you know, a quarter of a month on this one feature, that's a pretty steep cost, right? That eats into a huge chunk of the time that you have until your deadline. And so it's like a forcing function, right? It causes you to think about it more carefully and think like, is this something that really needs to be in the game? Like, is this something that if it wasn't in the game by the time the deadline rolls around, the game would be worse off for it? And a lot of times the answer to that question is no. Like a lot of the time the answer to that question is, that's just something that I want to do as a developer, but it's absolutely not required for the version of the game that's going to exist at this deadline, right? So that helps a lot, right? But then there are some times where it's like, yeah, this is going to take 3 days of effort, but I really think that the game is not going to be as good as it could be. You know, it's not going to be as good if I exclude this versus including it, and so that helps too, right? So I think deadlines are important, but it's one of those things where it's like, it's hard. Like this is only like my second serious commercial release, and so I'm still learning that stuff myself. And you know, Alchemortis probably, I mean, I probably wasted several months of development, which could have been saved if I had been more ruthless about my scope. But, you know, it's part of the learning process. I'd rather pick 1 or 2 or 3 reagents instead of having to sell most of them. Well, the reagent thing is like, that's actually solving a specifically different problem too. Like reagents can't be too scarce because then it's, yeah, I guess players just don't engage with alchemy as much if they're not getting reagents constantly thrown in their face. So that, I did deliberately inflate the number of reagents that the player gets in a run in response to previous feedback. So maybe there's too many reagents now, but there definitely needs to be a lot of reagent choice, I think. His cat helps him. Thank you for the Prime subscription, Necromantic. I appreciate that. Thank you, thank you. That's very generous. Welcome to the stream. Love the latest playtest version otherwise. Okay, good. Yeah, so I mean, I think all these things are like, they're relatively minor like tuning issues, which we'll fix, but I'm a developer in the insurance industry. I'd like to make games full-time, but also I'm a diabetic, so losing access to healthcare means I can't get insulin. So I don't know if I could ever reach a jumping off point, but it's nice to dream. Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, when I lost my job at a startup, I had to buy my own insurance, which was quite expensive, but those are indeed the things that you have to think about when you go full-time without a job. Is you got to pay, at least if you're in the United States, you got to pay for your own health insurance. You still have an enormous tax burden from your various sources of income. Of course, you still got to pay your mortgage or your rent or whatever, groceries. Yeah, it's a lot. It's very expensive. It's very expensive. So the only reason I was able to go full time is because I had a very comfortable amount saved. So there's no universe where like I'm gonna go bankrupt by doing this, right? Like I'm very low stress level financially because it's literally impossible for me to like lose my house. So yeah, that helps. It's okay to get them often, but I'd rather pick some instead of having to sell the ones I don't need for my build. I got you. I got you. Been on YouTube. I've been watching on YouTube for a while and remembered I could sub with Prime. Not sure how much it does, but hope it helps. It does help. Every bit helps. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so we need to rework this booster. Oh man. So I got a little bit too fancy with this, I think. I got a little bit too fancy with this. I might just repick and regenerate the booster options every time I need them rather than trying to cache them. Is that a good idea? Yeah, it might be a good idea. So, I mean, I could just... Maybe I'll cache it. So maybe what I'll do is I will do... Let's do this. Let's do a public void get booster entries or something like that. And actually, we'll probably want this to be some kind of like generate reveal info. Generate revealed info. So that just adds it into the revealed tags. Oh, what? What is this even doing? Revealed secondary tags. Entries, set revealed secondary tag. Oh, I see. Booster revealed item description. Contains a guaranteed 0 item. Oh, I see. Right, it only shows one keyword per. Revealed secondary card tag, revealed ability explanation. Okay. So I think what I want to do is we're going to do something like entry like this, but then we're going to grab, let's just create, I don't know, I'm just going to throw this up here for now. Public record entry args. So let's do, I don't know, let's just call it get entry. I don't know, something like that. And then we're going to put stuff like, because there's all these extra things like additional cards to pick, enemy cards to pick. So let's just grab, let's do public int additional cards to pick, get init enemy cards to pick, get init. What else is going on in here? Modify player card. Okay, so I think this could be a lot simpler. Generate reveal info. So this would be get entry args. Args. Let's do something like private last args. Wow, this is a mess. This can be greatly simplified as well. Option count, max choices. So all of this stuff is good, I think. I'm just trying not to break anything, you know. There's a lot going on here. I don't want to break it. So yeah, I'm actually not sure. This can all be greatly simplified, actually. This could all collapse down into a keyword. Yeah. But I don't know if I want to do the generate reveal info here. I think what I might want to do is... This is iterating over all entries. Oh, it's... Yeah, because it's not going to reveal the same tag twice, so it needs to iterate over all of them. All right, so... Yeah, I don't really understand why this is so freaking complex. Who wrote this? Who wrote this? Okay, so anyway, let's do this. Get rid of that. We're just going to do something. We'll cache it based on the arguments. So we'll say if args is equal to last args. So because this is a record, this will do like a deep equality, I guess. So if args is equal to last args, we're just going to return entries. Otherwise, we actually need to generate the entries. And we'll generate the entries based on this here. So we're going to grab this. Yes. And then node tier. Do I have to store this? Private read only int node tier. So store the node tier there, get rid of that. So now this just becomes a very basic constructor. So this isn't doing anything on construction anymore. And then what we want to do is, so we're going to generate those entries. This pick unmodified cards, this actually can go away. Can it go away? The other thing we're going to want to do is public card loot table manager dot table pick from table get init is equal to. So the idea here is that I will pass in all of these conditionals or these this additional data into get booster entries. And so what I'm doing is I'm basically allowing certain aspects of the game to change how the booster behaves. And what will happen is the first time I call get booster entries with an argument object, the last args is going to be null. So it's going to go ahead and generate everything based on those args, right? And then when I call this again using the same data, so the same additional cards to pick, same enemy cards to pick, same pick from table, it's just going to return the cached result. But what I can do is, let's say I get an artifact that changes additional cards to pick, right? So what's going to happen then is that it will just it'll regenerate everything because it will detect that this is different. So the new args coming in is not the same as the stored last args. And so it will just regenerate everything. It'll repick everything. I think that will work. Let me think. Is that going to work? I think so. So we go to generate down here. So this get adjusted cards here, this actually... Yeah, I don't really know. Do I even want to use this entry object anymore? I kind of don't. I kind of don't want to do that. Additional cards to pick. enemy cards to pick. I mean, I guess I do need to store the cards in the entry object itself, but do I just want to pass the entry args down into the generate here? Maybe? Maybe we call these generate args. Yeah. Then we could pass that down into here, maybe. Okay, so we've got that. And then I'm basically just take this. Yeah, and then I can do cards.add range, cards.add range. So we just do all that modification there. Oh, that's not... Maybe that's not correct. This needs to actually be somewhere else. Actually, let's remove this. We'll keep get adjusted cards. So we're only going to call this at the time we're actually pulling the booster, or we're actually interacting with the booster. So it will pass the card through the artifact manager. So that makes sense. Get cached cards. I'm just gonna start deleting stuff. This is just nutty. Okay. Get cached cards. Yeah, I don't. Well, maybe. I don't know. This is just too much. This is too much. Nope. We're not doing that. Let's see. I read only list, base card. I know I have to catch up on chat too. Cards. Okay. Or I guess I could just do that. All right. This question isn't really related, but is it difficult to manage your long hair? No, it's not. No, it's not. It's easy. It's easy. I just get it trimmed every 3 months or so, and that's basically it. I might just make jam games consistently with like a month for the MVP until one does well enough to run with for commercial release. Yeah, that's a good idea. And you don't have to like quit your job either to make a commercial release. Like you could definitely work in the evenings and make that happen. But that's what I did for Gunforged. I mean, the last bit of development for Gunforged was done full time because that's when I lost my job. But I would say a good like majority of the game was done just doing stuff outside of work and on the weekends. I've not actually made any games in Godot myself. I've followed some tutorials of simple games, but I think it would be cool to do something on my own. Yes. Yeah, you should. It's a lot of fun. Game development is a lot of fun. I like it. Even if you, I mean, I think the best way to approach it at first is just do it for fun. Just participate in game jams for fun. See if there's any interest. See if you have any like aptitude for it. And it doesn't need to be such a serious thing when you're starting, right? Like you don't need to start game development and say, okay, I'm going to make a living off of this, right? You can just start doing it just for the enjoyment of it. See if you like doing it. See if you like to spend, 6 months to a year making a game. Yeah, it doesn't have to be a very high pressure thing, Who wrote this? Yeah. It was a Monday. Hello, Eskeltron, welcome. I'm gonna break all of this. This is good. So instead of get cached cards, this becomes .cards. Okay, one thing at a time here. So this, we're gonna pass in the args here. Then we're gonna say last args is equal to args. Return entries. So we do need to generate the reveal info. So I think it's probably a good idea to do that here. So yeah, so basically what I'm just trying to do is I'm trying to make it so that way if something in the game changes after this booster configuration has been generated, I can pass that in to get booster entries here and it will redo that. Now the problem though is that this RNG object here, I actually need to store this. So because if I call this multiple times with slightly different arguments, it should basically return the same results, but with whatever additional or new results that is happening as a result of generate args. So I actually need to do like stored RNG. Where's this actually being used? Yeah, so I think I just need to propagate that RNG down. Yeah. So let's change this to stored RNG. And then when I go to generate, get the booster entries, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say var RNG is equal to new random number generator. And what we're going to do is we're going to take the seed from the stored RNG, and we're going to also take the state from the stored RNG.state. So we're creating a random number generator object that is essentially exactly equal to the stored RNG. So what we're going to try to avoid is we're going to try to avoid changing this stored RNG state. So every time we call get booster entries, it will be working from the same base state that was generated for this booster configuration. So we've got this RNG here. That creates a rand unsigned long. That's correct. And then we do generate args. Oh, that creates a separate RNG object. Okay, actually, I may not need to propagate this because this is going to generate the same seed for the entries every time. So that should hopefully be fine then. Yeah, okay, then generate reveal info. This should be fine as well. So I could just, well, right, I do want to pass in the random number generator here because I'm creating that object there, so we want to do that. Okay. We don't want to advance or change this stored RNG state at all, so that every time we call this with different arguments, it will essentially just be going from the same random state every time. So it'll minimally change the boosters when these arguments are changing. Okay, so I think that's fine. I'm going to change this hash set keyword revealed keywords. Okay, set revealed. So all of this is going to go away. So we're just going to say, we're going to get rid of this. This is too complicated. I mean, it makes sense why this was complicated before because I didn't have like a unified keyword system, but we're just going to do this. Keyword, revealed, keyword. Is this going to break the boosters? I don't know how this is going to work with the translation system, honestly. I'll figure it out later. Do I need to figure out... Hold on a second. Let's see. Yeah, I guess that's fine. I don't know. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter right now. Possible keywords. Okay, so I need to create set revealed keyword. Revealed keyword is equal to keyword. Keyword, thank you. Entries, I, set revealed keyword, selected. It's called explanation. That's not exactly correct. And then this would be revealed keywords.add. Okay. Description utils dot secondary get do I not have a way of getting the keywords? Ability type keywords, damage type keywords. Get card tag keywords. Oh, it's in the keyword thing. Okay. Keyword.get card tag keywords. Card tag dot none. Secondary tag. First or default. Selected tag, so I need to do this again. This is a mess. All right, now we got to do the same thing here. Keyword dot get card tag keywords for tag. I think that's it. Okay. Possible tags except revealed keywords. So this would be possible keywords. Selected keyword. Entries I, set revealed keyword, revealed keywords dot add. Okay. So that simplifies things quite a bit because then I'm not tracking a bunch of different data types here. This can go away as well. This can go away. So this would just be revealed keyword to string. Revealed second. Wait, what? Why is this even? No, I don't need to do any of this. Revealed explanation string. Wait a minute. Get revealed keyword. What the heck? What? I think I could just do that. I think that whole method just goes away now. All right, get revealed keywords. Oh, this is dot to string, I guess. Where is this called? Get revealed keywords, map node tooltip. Okay, UI booster tooltip. And does that do the highlight keywords after? Yeah, okay. All right. So I'm not using this pick from table right now, so I need to do that. So this table, loot table is equal to generate args pick from table. And I need to do that here. I don't think I'm going to use this enemy cards to pick anymore though. This goes away. I don't think I'm going to use this anymore. Enemy cards to pick. But I'll just put it back, I guess. I don't know. Whatever. Total count. Oh, that's unfortunate. I guess I could just store that. Private int total count. Yeah, we'll just set that here. It doesn't matter. And we can get rid of this. Because this is always going to be called, this generate is always going to be called. So as long as this get localized description, register clickable control, get localized description. Maybe that won't work. Anyway, so I have an issue here. Modify enemy cards picked. We're just going to get rid of this. That's gone. What the heck? Obelisk configuration. So enemy card booster map node effect. So now I need to account for that somehow. Well, I probably broke a lot of places, so let me just build and see where it broke. Does your Godot with C# course assume prior knowledge of C#? I have general knowledge, but limited C# experience. I would say that the course presumes prior programming knowledge. I mean, I don't really spend a lot of time explaining I don't really spend a whole lot of time explaining C# fundamentals. So that might be a problem. If you're looking for a more like fundamental introduction into C#, that's not what the course is. But if you already have programming experience, I don't think C# is that hard to pick up. But yeah, if you're looking for something that explains like the C# type system and all that stuff, I don't spend a lot of time doing that in the course. We just kind of go right into writing the gameplay code. I followed your C# Udemy tutorial during the VS Code debugging setup. I'm wondering, is it possible to debug a certain scene without having to set the scene as the main scene first? Yes. So if you go to your debug setup, you can open this launch configuration object here. And if you want to launch a scene, basically you just you add an argument here. So your args will probably look like something like this. So you've got your program, which is like the path to the Godot executable, right? And then your arguments, when you typically launch, it provides, -- path. And then the workspace root is basically just the place where your project.godot is. But you can add any extra additional command line arguments to your debug configuration that work with the Godot executable, right? So whatever command line arguments the Godot executable itself supports. And one such thing is providing a path to the scene that you want to run, right? So it's just as simple as adding a third argument after the path and so this path argument, and then the location of your project.godot, and then you can add the location of the scene relative to that workspace root that you want to run by itself. And that's it. It's pretty straightforward. And you can create as many of these configurations as you want to. So like I've got launch translation generator, launch run overview. Like you can add however many launch configurations you want, pointing to different scenes that you want to test. What am I drinking? Coffee. Hello, Surly Burley. Welcome. Sorry if this has been asked before, but do you have any plans to make Alchemortis multiplayer down the line for shared runs like Slay the Spire? Not multiplayer, like specifically. I do want to do some like community features though. Like I want to do a daily run, for example. And ideally a daily run would be so everyone plays on the same seed. And then the daily run would also add like some kind of rule that changes how the game works. So the daily run would have like inject a new function or mechanic into the game. And then that seed would be shared by everyone. So the seed would basically just be generated based off of the system time. And so, everyone on the same day would get the same seed. So yeah, that's what I would like to do, but I don't know if I'm going to do explicit like multiplayer support where I'm actually like communicating with a server or multiple people are in the same game or whatever. I think that would be very, very difficult, but if something like that comes, it would have to be after release, and it would only be like if Alchemortis is super successful and people are like, we want like multiplayer features, then that's when I would consider spending the time doing it, We'll give it a try. Thanks. You're welcome. Monk also, you are welcome. I need to test this very thoroughly because I broke like everything. The one thing that I'm worried about when it comes to this booster configuration is this get localized description may be called before it's been generated, which is not great. I didn't really think about that. Kit booster entries. Is this not called anywhere? Oh, wait, no, this should actually be fine. I don't know. I'm just going to have to look at how this is working, but we got to get it compiling first. So we want to do... map node effects and manager dot has map node effect of type enemy card booster map node effect context dot current node. So yeah, this is gone. So what we're gonna do here yeah, we just gotta call get booster entries, I guess. New booster configuration dot generate args. Okay, and then I'm not going to use these enemy cards to pick anymore, so we're just going to do that. So we pass in the args that we want to do for the get booster entries there, and then we just do set entries. I think that's it. So we got to worry about the map node tooltip as well, but okay, it builds. Map container, here we go. Booster configuration, set booster configuration, formatted description. So yeah, what I'm gonna want to do in here actually, I'll just do this. Get booster, no. So I was previously assuming that this get revealed keywords would be generated prior to calling this, but now I almost need to force this. You know what I may do? I might just get rid of this. Get rid of that, because that's just gonna get confusing. And then in here, what I'll do is I'll just build those entries myself. So I need to do var entries is equal to. See, this is the problem, is I got to duplicate this logic in multiple places. So I may try to think of a better way to do that. Do I have a reference to the node that this is going for? Set map node. I do. Okay. Update map node effects. Update map node effects. Okay. Am I not storing the node in here? I guess I'll just pass in the run map node here. So basically what's going to happen is the first time I hover over a booster, it's going to actually generate everything and then return. But because I'm storing the last args, it should just be cached if I'm passing in the same arguments every time. Which is good, I think. It should be relatively fast. Additional card to pick. So I would like to figure out how I can avoid duplicating this logic here. I wonder if I could just move that into... I don't know. Let's just deal with it for now. we'll just deal with it for now. Okay. So I've got my entries, and then I've got my get revealed keywords. So keywords equals entries dot select x dot revealed keyword to list. Okay, map container, set booster configuration, node. Okay. So yeah, I've got this logic basically in two places now, which is not ideal because as soon as I change one place, I've got to change both. So I'll figure out what to do about that later though. The most important part is we got to see if this works. So there's a bunch of things that I need to test. So I need to test that the obelisk is properly causing only enemy cards to drop. I've got to test that if it's consistent between save files. So when I, save out of a game and I go back in, the booster configuration should be exactly the same. I got to test that the map node tooltip is working correctly, that the revealed keywords are working correctly. I mean, all in all, it wasn't that big of a change. It wasn't that big of a change. But we will see. We are building though, so that's good. All right, I'm going to take a quick 3-minute break, and then when I come back, we will do some testing on this. We'll test all those things. We'll do a very basic test first. We'll just generate a test map with boosters. We'll see if all that is working fine. Basically, should not see any difference there. And then I'll test with like save files and obelisks and stuff. And actually, do I need to build the translations? I do. Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right, I'll be right back in just 3 minutes and we'll continue on. right, who's ready to test some boosters? By the way, has anyone found the secret item yet? The secret item that got into the patch yesterday for the playtest? I'm gonna assume no. I might have made it too rare. But I will say the secret item has power that I think is pretty in line with its rarity, so I'm just curious to see if anyone's gonna find it. What is a booster? Is it 7? I forgot. Booster is 8. Okay, so generate test map booster, here we go. So firstly, let's see if it breaks horribly the first time I hover over something. We already got some errors. What do we got here? Index 0 base must be greater than or equal. Revealed keyword. Get booster entries. Interesting. So it's already failing. Oh, did I do this wrong? Oh, does this need to be... Index 0 base must be greater than or equal to 0 and less than the size of the argument list. What? UI booster tooltip. Yeah, okay. Something went wrong. Okay, now it works. Okay, so I just needed to cast it to an array because that's a params object. Doing a playtest while watching you work feels weirdly like reading the Bible while talking to God. Well, goodness gracious. Let's see here. Debug, config, game development. Okay. Let's get right into it. Hello, Lux Spark. Welcome. Guaranteed passive, guaranteed relic, guaranteed exhaust. Passive, relic, is there a relic item, and exhaust? Did it have an exhaust item? Wait a minute. Was it supposed to be? Okay, I guess I might have misread that. Let's try again. Hello, Fire Blast. Welcome back. Good to see you. Okay, undead, ritual, innate. Here we go. Slime is undead. And then we've got a ritual item, and then we've got an innate. Okay, well, yeah, it would be this one. So that seems to be working. One thing that I'm interested in is if I do... I just want to see booster configuration. I want to see if this is actually working and it's not regenerating every time. Get rid of that. Okay. Okay, so it is working. Good. So this is being cached. So it's not regenerating the entries every time. It's just generating them the first time, which is good. And actually, I'm going to put this here. And I'm going to hover over a different booster. Yeah, see how I hovered over it once, it didn't break point, but then I do it again and it does. So that's good. Because we definitely don't want to be regenerating that every time. Okay, so that is working. Now we need to check like the additional cards to pick. So where is that even coming from? Additional. Well, I guess I could go to the booster. That would be, oh, the shovel, right? Forgot what it's called. What is that artifact called? Oh, it's called booster card, right? I did a kind of a weird thing when I first started this game. I was naming the artifact IDs based on the functionality of the item, but after doing a little bit of development, I just started naming it after the actual theme of the item. So like Manticore Stinger. So this shovel, the spade here is called booster card because that's describing what it does. Whereas like this ring here, it's just saying what the theme is. It's not saying what it does. And so if you're going to do an ID system like this, what I would recommend is name your IDs based off of the theme of the item, because what's probably not going to happen is the theme of the item is not going to change, and the functionality might. And so if you name it after the functionality and it changes, now you have an ID that doesn't really match what it does. And it becomes really hard to remember because like I remember, oh, the shovel item adds a booster, but I don't remember like what I would have called it if the ID was describing the functionality. So yeah, if you're going to have like item registries like this, I would definitely recommend naming it after the theme instead of what it does. That was a mistake, but oh well, I'm not going to change it now. So we need a spade. Hello, Subconscious Game Journal. How you doing? Welcome. See, I did it again. Add artifact booster card. Add artifact booster card. Okay. So wait, so I've got these. Actually, let me do this. I'm getting lost. Let's just close everything. So I want to see something. So if I do this, attach to process, Godot. Okay, so that generated a new entry. Or no, it didn't generate a new entry. I want to put a breakpoint there. So we're not generating new entries. If I do add artifact booster card, it regenerates because it's detected that the additional cards to pick is different. Fire, alchemical, and innate items. Now the problem is, that's going to change the description, I think. Add artifact booster card. Yeah, it changes the description. Is that a big deal? Maybe what I should do is when I'm generating the entries, and I is less than entry entries.cards, let's just take the first guaranteed number. So entries.cards.take entries I dot option count. Yes. Right. Okay. Dot take entries I. So what we'll do is we'll just take, we'll narrow down this list to only the first, basically only the cards that are guaranteed to be part of the booster. We're not gonna consider anything that gets added to the booster as a result of like additional cards or whatever. So that's gonna stabilize that tooltip description so that when you acquire a spade artifact, your booster description doesn't change. Because I don't want players to feel like their seeded run is breaking because they're changing the game. I want to keep it very like solid, which, you know, you could argue that that's not really necessary, but I think it would be confusing to suddenly change Like if a player was heading to a booster and it's like, oh, that booster has a minion item. Okay, I'm going to head to that. But then they get a spade artifact and then they find out that the booster now it no longer says minion item. Are they going to change their path now because they assume the minion no longer exists? Because the minion is still there. It's just because of how the randomness works, it's just selecting different keywords to display on the tooltip. So we'll narrow down the list to the cards that are guaranteed to be in the booster. And then we'll use that to generate the keywords. And that should hopefully... that should hopefully stabilize it. So let's take a look at that. Doing well, staying busy, got you in the background while working from home. Found you after grabbing Godot to start learning in my free time. Awesome. Well, welcome to the stream. Glad to have you here. Always good to see new people in the chat. Hey, Ravarsh. Hello. Welcome. Oh, Pacheco Dev. Good to see you again. Welcome back. Minion, passive, and relic. Add artifact. Booster card. Minion, passive, and relic. Add artifact. Booster card. Okay, so that is being stabilized. And now if I go in though, contains 7 items, contains 6 items, contains 5 items. There we go. And actually I'm realizing I should probably redo this, but that's all right. Doesn't matter. This should be offer 1 additional item and allow you to take 1 additional item, right? I think that would make sense. How many people are realistically changing the spade or taking the spade in their runs to allow selection of 1 additional item as well? I feel like that artifact is probably weak. My vibes-based balancing is telling me that this is an artifact that's not often taken. Okay, so now we got to test the obelisk. So before I go and break a bunch of stuff, let's do that. Okay, obelisk configuration. Let's turn off ignore save file as well. So we'll turn that off. Let's clear save data. Let's go in. I've never used it. All right, so we got to regenerate a map until we find... Okay, there's an obelisk, okay. Let me see if my save game is actually working. There we go. Okay, so back to the obelisk. Take the booster one. Okay, now I gotta go all the way over there. But contains guaranteed clergy, offers Inquisition items. Okay, let's see if that's saved now. It should have, because I didn't really change this system. Okay, and it's also updating the tooltip. See, it says clergy now, so that's great. So let's go ahead and get that. Did you create all the pixel art yourself? I did. Welcome, Biscuit Slippers. Yes, everything you see on the screen, with the exception of the fonts, was created by me. Oh, the exception of the color palette too. I did not choose the colors. The colors came from a color palette that somebody else designed. But all of the actual art assets that were made with the palette was done by me by hand. I'm just gonna do another reload just to make sure extra safe. Okay, offers only Inquisition items. Let's go. Let's take the clergy one. Oh my goodness, look at that. I like this option now because this is just like adding more items to the player's build for free, basically. The only problem is the boss items can drop, so I don't know if I like that. I may exclude boss items from being droppable, actually. So if I go to my... Yeah, I think what I might do is booster. So I'm going to actually... So that dropped a boss, the Hammer of Judgment. So I'm going to change the code and then redo that and see what happens. Booster. Configuration. Is boss is equal to args dot loot table is equal to table dot enemy and item dot is boss. Okay. I can imagine a situation in the future where I'd want to allow the player to take a boss item and I would have to edit this code then, but I think that would just be as simple as adding another argument here. But for now, is boss. So if we're picking the enemy from the enemy loot table and the item that we're looking at is a boss, we're just going to exclude that. So yeah. So hopefully that works now. Watched a ton of your YouTube content lately while getting into Godot. Good stuff. Awesome. Glad to hear that, Luan. Glad to hear that. Welcome to the stream. Thanks for explaining. It's so inspiring. Thank you. Okay, we no longer have the Hammer of Judgment in here. I'm also gonna, oops, I hope that didn't save my game. Oh, it didn't. Okay, good. So I want to make sure that it's going to generate the same booster options every time. Scarecrow, Dove, Executioner Sword, Bear Trap, Arming Sword. It probably would have been easier to remember the 3 items instead of the 5, but that's okay. It's all the same. Okay. So now let's add a spade artifact. And then I should get an additional item, but it should be additional. So I should get all the same items plus an extra one. Yeah, so I got the pumpkin patch, but everything else is the same. Good. How can I use VS Code and Godot together? You just need to basically install some extensions. It depends on if you're using GDScript or C#. Godot C# is just a CS project. It's just a solution, right? So it's, as far as VS Code is concerned, it's just a normal C# project. So you just install the C# extensions and you're off. But if you want to integrate with the GDScript language server, there's a, I think it's called Godot Tools or something. There's an extension that allows you to connect to the GDScript language server, and that will give you like the syntax highlighting and autocomplete and all that stuff. Any problem if I do menu inspired by your game? I kind of like how it works. It feels more natural than buttons on a screen. No, go ahead. I mean, I don't have a patent on a menu layout, and yeah, if you like the way my menu is done and you want to do something similar, by all means. But thank you for asking. First time, what's the game about? Alchemortis is a dark fantasy roguelite inventory management auto battler where you use alchemy to create your own synergies. And there's a playtest running right now. So the link in the description below to the Steam page, you can go visit the Steam page, give it a wish list, and also download the playtest and try it out. If it's your kind of game. If it's not your kind of game, then, you know, that's all right. Ever tried 3D before? Not really, no. Gunforged is a huge influence for my game. I got all achievements. Oh, awesome. Thank you. I'm glad you like Gunforged. People have heard me say that I don't think Gunforged is that great of a game. I think it's a competent, like twin stick shooter, but it's like, it's not anything super special, but I'm glad that you enjoyed it. I think it's still a fun game. Don't get me wrong. I think Gunforged is still pretty fun. It's just not the best kind of game I could make. You know what I mean? Like, I could do better than that. Maybe there will be a Gunforged 2 in the future. Probably not, actually. All right, so all that work was to get one obelisk effect done. Still pretty fun times pick time, just more run. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you liked it. One question I have is this going to be save file compatible? Yes, it should be save file compatible. Yes, it should be save file compatible. Okay. All right. I don't know if I'm going to push these booster updates to the playtest. I mean, I'm kind of tempted to do that. But at the same time, it is a big change, and I'm worried that maybe something will break, but I don't know. Okay. All right, now we have to do the other, like, 10 of them. That should have been one of the most difficult ones, though. So this reagent guaranteed death orchid, this one here. This is not going to be save file compatible if I get rid of this. We'll just create a new map node effect for this. Yeah, we'll just do that. So what I'll do is I'll remove that reagent guaranteed legendary. So I'll retain support for the guaranteed death orchid for existing saves, but I will just not have a way of actually adding that into the game. So, where's Obelisk? There we go. Remove guaranteed death orchid from master. Okay. Get map node effect count by type. Where T Okay. Map node effects manager dot get guaranteed or get map node effect count by type reagent guaranteed legendary. Current node. Public void set guaranteed legendary int count. Guaranteed legendary count. I'm kind of doing this in a weird way, but that's okay. Guaranteed legendary count. I don't know why I'm doing this. Let's just do if guaranteed legendary count greater than 0. Add range. Card loot table manager dot pick. Yeah, pick modified cards. Okay. I need a way of getting that RNG. Do I want to do that there? I might just move that into the configuration object, actually. Yeah, probably do that. Int legendary card. Let's do int additional. Because then I can just do... something like that. Cards.add range. Okay. We do basically the same thing. Allow duplicates equals false. Count equals additional legendary count. Oh, can I not? I don't have an additional filter? I have no way of specifying a filter? Card definition resource bool. I feel like that's wrong. Why don't I have an additional filter? Anyway. args.additionalFilter.invoke. Item is not equal to false. So if this is null, it will return true. If it's true, it will return true. So we only want to, we only want to block this if it returns false explicitly. Okay. That's kind of concerning. Why did I never have an additional filter? Anyway. Is this used in more than one spot? It's not, so it doesn't matter. Guaranteed legendary count. Okay. All right. Well, I'm pretty confident that that one's going to work, but maybe I shouldn't be confident because things have broken before. All right, let's take a look. So clear save data. Here we go. Do you ever join Game Jam before? Yes, I have a lot of Game Jam games. You could go to firebelly.itch.io and you could see all my Game Jam games there. I'm using A-Sprite for pixel art. Do you also do GD Shader on VS Code? I couldn't find a VS Code extension that seems well maintained. No, I don't. I usually do the shaders in the Godot editor for that reason, basically. Can we connect Godot to Visual Studio Community? I don't know. What do you think you could have done better with Gunforged? I think Gunforged doesn't have a very strong theme. Like, it's just kind of a hodgepodge of random stuff. And also, I feel like the central mechanic of Gunforged was not... like, the potential was not as realized there as it could have been. So I think it had, like, theme issues, and I think the mechanic could have been explored or executed a little bit better. Okay, there's an obelisk there. Did you learn C# Godot's experience of Unity? Neither. I knew C# before, or I knew how to use C#. I don't know if I was like an expert in C#, but I had some professional experience making C# backends. So yeah. I also did a lot of work with Java when I was a software engineer, and that's very similar, like in style, to C#, so it was pretty easy to pick up. Oh my gosh. I gotta go all the way over there. Oops, forgot to build the translations. That's okay. Oh, that's not good. Okay, well, anyway. And it didn't save. Oh, it didn't save. Why didn't it save? It didn't save. Oh. Why didn't it save? Okay, let me do something really quick. Build. Wonder why that didn't save. I do have a debugger error here. Oh, do I need to do map node effect? Oh, map node effect factory. That's right. Okay. I really wish I could automate this a little bit better. I forgot to add it there. Okay. Unknown map effect ID. Yeah. Okay. That's why it broke. Unfortunately, I think my save file is broken, so I have to retest all that. But this is why we test. Build. Okay, we can push those in there, and then I'm going to go to my Obelisk configuration. We're going to turn this up quite a lot. Well, there's another obelisk right here, so. Oh, look at that. Contains a guaranteed legendary reagent. Close, reopen. That should reconstruct it. There we go. Go in here. It didn't work. Oh, I forgot to set the guaranteed legendary count. Okay. So many things you got to get right. Why didn't it play the legendary drop animation? Now I gotta figure that out. Oh. Mm. We're off into another side quest. This is actually an existing bug, though, so that's good. Let's just grab this. Animation origin funk. I don't think I need that. Do I really need this? Okay. Let's see if that works. How'd you manage with somewhat big scale project? Do you ever forget some parts of the code base that you created? Yeah, that happens all the time. And that's why, you know, for people that have been watching for a while, that's why I usually try to spend a lot of time making my code as clear as possible to read and to understand. So you'll notice that I tend to use very long variable names. I tend to use very long method names. And then of course, like good systems design is important too. Like being able to know, okay, I need to make this change. Here's the 1 or 2 systems that I know I'm going to need to touch to like update those. So it's really important, like for a more complex project, to have as little spaghetti code as possible, to have well-designed systems. And then also, so the well-designed systems helps you to identify from like a very broad view where you need to look to make changes. So like, you know, knowing that, oh, well, only this like 3% of the code base is relevant to what I'm doing. I can ignore everything else. That helps a lot, right? And then, but actually getting into the implementation and reading through what it does, that's where using descriptive variable names and functions and writing your code as clearly as possible helps. So that way, when I go into a piece of code that I don't remember how it works, I should be able to just read it to understand what it's doing, right? But that's an ideal state. Like that's not something I'm perfect at doing it. Like I certainly have parts of the code base that are very confusing. But as a general like goal to strive for, that's how I approach it. There we go. That feels too extreme to me though. Let's do 45. Okay, excellent. So that seems to work pretty good. Yeah, that seems to work pretty good, I think. Okay. I might just give it another test just to be sure that everything works end to end. Let's find an obelisk. There's one. Just got to click through all these things. Okay. Contains a legendary reagent. We'll reload the game. Contains a legendary reagent. Make sure it's all the same reagents as well. So I'm just going to screenshot that so I can remember. Just want to make sure that it's picking the same exact items every time. Preserve the integrity of the seeded run, you know? Yep, we're good. Excellent. The seed is stable, we're getting our legendary items, and it's being saved to the save file. Excellent. And we can discard this. Okay. Update reagent obelisk buff. All right, so the shop discount one is next. So I'll just read through the other obelisk effects that I have planned, but I'm obviously not going to be able to do all of these in this stream. But the new shop buff will be, the shop will have greatly discounted prices. This card upgrade, the upgrade encounter will allow you to upgrade many items at once. So the idea behind this one is you'll be able to put as many cards as will fit in the board, and you click upgrade and it upgrades all of them. So you won't have that single item restriction anymore. That's going to be a little bit hard to communicate to the player though. I think I might need to put some kind of like on-screen thing to remind them that they can put multiple in. Artifact, this one is going to remain the same actually, I think. I don't really need to change that one. For enchant additional item, actually that one's not going to change either. Additional max health map node effect, I think this one is also not going to change. So maybe I only need to do... Wait, maybe that's it. Maybe I just need to do the shop one and the card upgrade. Because the other ones are already good enough. So the reason why I wanted to redo the obelisk is because there are some in here that are obviously very powerful, like the additional artifact one or the additional enchant one. The max health is max health, it's whatever, you know. Grow board is obviously very powerful, and choosing a unique character artifact is obviously very powerful. I do need to rename this though. A nearby encounter will be transformed into a board growth encounter. So yeah, actually I don't need to change those ones. So I just want to change the card upgrade one and change the shop one. Those are the only two I need to change still. Hello, Boogie W. Welcome back. I've spent some time with the playtest and dropped my feedback in the Discord. Thank you. What do you think about it, just generally speaking, as a quick comment? How would you describe the difference between good games and bad games? I don't know. That's a good question. I think... I don't know. The words that come to mind when I think of a good game is like coherent. Coherent and elegant. And what I mean by that is like, so coherent is, you know, the theme is consistent, the visual style is consistent, the sound effects, the music, the characters, they all fit well into whatever theme or world you've got going on. And then elegance being like you're squeezing a lot out of like a relatively small amount of mechanics, right? Because I think I think part of the reason why some games don't feel that great, especially for people like me when I'm like trying to learn how to make games, is like there's this temptation to just like layer on a bunch of mechanics in the hope that adding another mechanic is going to make your game good and so on and so forth. But I think what I'm learning is that it's actually the opposite, right? It's like you want to have like a handful or even just like one core central game mechanic and then like make every element of the game revolve around that mechanic, right? So like with alchemy, with Alchemortis, like the main mechanic is alchemy. And so the question that I'm constantly asking myself is like, how do I make more stuff go through the alchemy? Like, how do I make alchemy like the star of the show, right? Like everything else in the game should be designed to supplement and support the alchemy system. And that's hard. That's easier said than done, but I think that's what makes good games, is like doing a lot with a little. It's fun, but I'm more confused than I like to be, and it ends too soon just when you're really getting into it. But I assume that's how it's meant to be in the playtest. No, I mean, that's how it's supposed to be for the game. Like, I actually want to end the game right about when your build is getting good. And the reason for that is because usually by the end game, and sometimes before, but usually by like the third region, your build has come together and you're like stomping everything if you're going to stomp everything. And the game gets really boring if that's just how it continues. So I actually want the player to feel like, oh man, my build was so good and I beat the game. And the reason for that is because, yeah, it would get boring otherwise. Like once you hit your build, if I dragged the game out for another 25% longer or 30% longer, it would actually be boring. So the feeling that you're experiencing of like, man, my build was getting good and then I won, that's actually kind of where I want you to be, to be honest. Because that means that first of all, it means that you got to the build that you wanted to get to, and it means that you won, and it hopefully means that it leaves you desiring like a repeat, like, oh, I want to do that again, right? Or that was such a fun build, I want to try to recreate it, you know? And also, I don't want you to get bored. Like if you just stomp the rest of the game for the next 15 minutes, like that actually gets boring, at least in my experience. And the confusion, yeah, I don't know what to do about that. I need to make some changes to player education for sure. Let me ask you, Boogie, have you played auto battlers before? Like, are you a fan of like auto battler genre, or would this be like your first auto battler game? Yes. Yes, what? Yes, it's your first game? Oh, many. Okay. Have you tried Guild Run? It's super popular among TFT players. No, I have not. I actually don't play auto battlers often at all. Focus on the end, because if end is better, then review is better. 10%. I don't know what you're trying to say there. 10% run. Update. All right, give me 1 second here. Missed L before? I'm sorry, I'm still not understanding exactly what you're saying. But yeah, I mean, I think there's definitely work to do on the player education, so I want to do that. I want to spend some time working on that. Hopefully I can get that sorted for the demo. So my main goal is for the demo, like that's the next focus, is I'm going to be working towards the demo build. So the main goal for the demo, I have two main goals. One, figure out how to actually strip content from the demo, if that's reasonable. I've previously done demos where it's just like a flag, and like if the entire game ends up on your hard drive and it's just like a Boolean flag that turns off certain features. I want to see if it's possible to just like exclude a bunch of content from the game, like so it actually doesn't end up on your hard drive. Just to, you know, I don't know, just see how easy that is. If that's too difficult, then I'll just go with the flag-based approach and not worry about it. But so my main focus is going to be getting the demo build working at a technical level, restricting all the content and everything. And then also player education is going to be like my next major focus, like really trying to tighten up the tutorial, explain things better that are not explained, maybe even like ease the player in by not having so many complex items available from the start. Something like that. 10% rule. Focus on the end because if end is better than review is better, 10% rule. I just don't know what 10% rule means. That's all. Anyway, I'm going to end the stream there for now, but thank you all for watching. Thank you for being here. It is still a playtest, so there's going to be more changes coming. I mean, the game is largely solidified from like a game mechanic experience, but definitely need to make improvements on the player education and pacing and stuff for sure. So I'll be taking a look at all that stuff. I'm going to take a look at the blood economy too. I think blood is too available right now. But yeah, these are all minor like tuning things that I can work on. But thank you all to everyone who has played. You can play it by going to the request access button on the Steam page. Let me know what you think in the Discord. Game is fun. Thank you, Aztec Warlord. I appreciate that. Thank you everyone. So yeah, let me know what you think in the Discord, and I am reading all your feedback in the Discord, even if I don't respond directly to the feedback. I am taking notes and thinking about your feedback and considering your feedback, so please continue leaving it. Let me know if you liked the game or didn't like the game, what you did and didn't like about it. That's definitely helpful. And hope you all have a great day. Keep an eye on the Discord as well. If I do another live stream today, which I may do, I'll put an announcement there. Otherwise, take care, everyone. Will I be live tomorrow? Yes, 10 a.m. Eastern. I'm live every day except for Sunday, usually. So every day at 10 a.m. Eastern except for Sunday. But yeah. All right, take care, everyone. Have a good day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.